It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Dutch. I'm your host, Mains, and my colleague in the Danger Zone in Rainford. It's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Not shouting at tea.
Not shouting at tea. We'll come on to that, of course. It's the NFL off-season. Combine is starting Thursday. We are talking absolutely zero NFL tonight. But not only is it me and Neil not talking zero NFL, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Denny Carter, also with us. Hello, Mr. Carter. How are we?
Hey guys, I'm doing well, and I appreciate you guys having me back on. I have to say that last time we talked, you all recommended a fantastic graphic novel to me, a Superman graphic novel. I have not read it yet, and I'm now devastated about it.
Especially as they're now making the animated
I think it's out.
film of it as well.
The animated film is actually out. Warner Brothers Animation, which are actually, where
Really?
they actually are good at DC is in the animated genre. It is out. For those who know Danny, who listen to the show, which is everyone, you will have noticed tremendous silence in a space. Danny is on a 69-day Twitter sabbatical as we speak. Today's day 23, a third of the way through his journey. And our question is, how is your sabbatical going, firstly? And also, has there been anything that's jumped out at you and said, oh my goodness, I need to break my sabbatical for this piece of news?
Man, every day there's something. Every day something comes across like my terrible Facebook feed, which I still am on Facebook, like maybe like once or twice a day I'll check. And I'll see a story and I'll think, oh my God, I have the perfect tweet. I want to be online so bad. But I've actually deleted the Twitter app from my phone. So I, literally can't access it. I also have blocked it on my browser, which actually took me a long time to figure out, but I did figure it out. And I miss it. I miss it dearly. I mean, like there was there was a story last week about, I think he was an American who wanted to prove that the Earth was flat, and so he got on a rocket and fired it, and then he died. I desperately wanted to tweet about that.
See, you did mention, obviously, you had a podcast this week when your estranged wife joined you, and she was explaining as well the difficulty in having to live with you while you don't have this avenue to express yourself and to make your takes. And it was interesting because if I wasn't, if I'd barred myself from Twitter, and if Paul had barred it, and we only had our significant others to fire at, they wouldn't listen anyway. Whereas it does seem, your good lady wife actually does try to make an effort to listen.
Well, I think that's up for argument, honestly. I think that during my little podcast interview with her, on the Living the Stream Patreon page, I had to plug that. I'm sorry. She said that she didn't know what I was talking about when I mentioned, I said, remember what I was talking about in the car the other day? And she drew a blank and started laughing, because I do think that eventually, she just kind of becomes numb to all my opinions about everything I read and see during the day.
I think Neil asked me this question yesterday on if, obviously based on this on the Patreon on Living the Stream, because he said, does Kate listen? My wife is Kate, Neil's significant other, Kate as well. Does she listen to you when you say stuff? And I said, well, she listens and then says, oh my God, that was tremendously boring. Never say it to me again. I usually carry on doing so every now and again. He said, haven't we discussed that this is boring? I'll go, oh my God, you've got to listen to this. It's dead interesting. She rolls her eyes, listens and goes, oh no, that was really boring. I'm not getting that 2 minutes back of my life.
But you gotta give your take. You gotta the Zoomers are constantly saying shoot your shot. So I feel like you got to do it. You got to get that off of your chest. my wife says that my take making has been worse since I've been on Twitter. I mean, apparently there was a time in my life when I was not on Twitter. I don't remember it, but I tend to disagree with that premise because, back like when I used to live with my parents as a kid and like in high school and into college, I would have takes on everything that we watched, like on the evening news. Like I would watch an evening news segment and be like, "Here's my take on that. That's garbage, and I'll tell you why." And I wasn't open about that with people outside of my friends and family, but I think I've always been that way, and she's sort of brushing it off like, "Oh, it's just a Twitter thing."
I will just say this though, just to allude what I said at the beginning regarding shouting at tea. Now, you will appreciate this, Denny, but you will obviously have missed it without your easy access to Twitter.
Okay.
So one of our most well-known of brands in this country of tea bags is Yorkshire Tea.
Only in England do we have famous tea bags. But anyway, carry on, Neil.
Yeah. And basically, over the weekend, a high-ranking member of our very popular government.
Not a high-ranking. The second most important person in the government, the man who looks after the money.
Yeah. So he tweeted a picture of him holding a bag of Yorkshire Tea, and Yorkshire Tea were quite upset because this looked like, he was using their product without their permission, without their consent or whatnot. So they just, expressed that they weren't particularly... They hadn't had a good weekend. A lady called Sue decided then to rail against Yorkshire Tea about the various policies and practices of said government. And it goes on about 5... She's gone to the maximum of 280 characters on at least 5 tweets. And it ended today with Yorkshire Tea tweeting back to her and just saying, "Sue, you're shouting at tea."
Oh, that's funny. Wow. That's good.
Just to show, of course, how we deal with things in Britain, the phrase "Sue, you're shouting at tea" has been a trending Twitter topic today.
It's been the trending topic in the UK today.
Yeah, that's some English shit right there.
Exactly. It doesn't get more English than a woman getting into a Twitter fight with the Twitter handle of a tea bag company. But there you go.
Just incredible.
On to other items related to that. Me and Neil regularly in the off season do a concept called Weird World, where I troll the internet for stupid things that people have done or that we find hilarious.
That sounds good.
And we've got 3 stories and a couple more questions to ask you. The first story though is, the question is, and tongue in cheek, do you know any maths? I believe you do, Denny. I'm going to let you into a secret on maths. A survey of 3,000 Brits by online marketplace onbuy.com has compiled a list of names most likely to be the biggest spenders and the biggest super savers in their shopping habits. Numero uno in the people who don't spend money is Matt. So I guess my question is, your friend Matt, is he a cheapskate, as we would call it in the UK?
Cheapskate. We use that here too. Are you saying my friend Matt?
Yeah, frugal is. Well, do you have any? So I guess, do you know any Matts, and would you suggest they are frugal?
You know what? Yes, I do know. I do. My brother-in-law's brother is named Matt, and he is extremely frugal. I'm not, I'm not even exaggerating here. This guy is the most disciplined manager of money I've ever known in my life. So I think that this holds up scientifically.
So I'm disappointed because I look at the top 10. I'll give you the top 10. Matthew, Jack, Sam, James, Simon, Edward, Connor, Paul, disappointingly that's me, Ben and Liam. As someone who's known Neil, the other side of this relationship, for how long now, Neil? 2001. So 19 years.
19 years.
There's an absolute massive name missing from this list. That would be Neil. I assume that's because you've never online shop, Neil, much like you've never bought anybody an alcoholic beverage without being forced to.
It's also, as well, you have to remember is that there are very few of us, because in terms of names that sound like a command, it's not a great look. It's a dull name. It's the same when people, I keep saying it now, when people meet people, I say, hello, Neil, not a command, and they think, arsehole, and then move on with their lives, and just, they hate me from day one. It saves time.
That's really good. So wait. Are you saying that Neil, you have never bought anything online? Is this true?
I call it a payment tax, in that I don't trust the companies, I don't trust the post. I'd rather pay more and have it in my hand.
Wow.
Neil recently broke his PlayStation, tried to communicate with massive global enterprise Sony. Somehow managed to F it up so badly that they sent his PlayStation to Dublin, Ireland, rather than Liverpool, England.
But still try to blame me.
Is there a long distance between those two places?
There's a massive water. There's, as we speak, given relationships since the 31st of January, a different political relationship between those two countries, as in one is in Europe and one has chosen not to be.
Right.
So there's a few differences that Neil may have missed in his conversation with Sony.
I didn't want my PlayStation to be used as a bargaining chip in Brexit.
Of course. Well, hey, that's good politics. I say. By the way, Brexit remains and probably will forever be the greatest self-own in history. I have to give it to the UK.
It's something we have done very. It's been 4 years, in building it up to the state we're in now. It's a good. The good thing is we're still not talking about it really.
There's a classic one today. This again very British in its thing that our government agency related to farming has told farmers that their subsidies will be reduced by 25%. Ironies of ironies on that is the reason that is because most of their subsidies used to come from the EU. Even better than that is if you do demographics related to Brexit, most people who lived in the countryside voted to leave the EU. So literally cut their nose off to spite their face.
Yeah, cut their nose off to own the libs. Yeah, sure.
And they are working spectacularly, and I look forward to them all eating bread and water soon.
Well, it's the same. Here in the U.S., the federal government is pumping untold billions into farms because of the trade war that we have going on with China, which has hurt farmers a lot over the past 3 years. But I don't have the data on hand. I would guess that those areas of the country voted very much in favor of Trump in 2016. So it's kind of similar here, except for that they get a nice little like $40 billion handout because things have been tough for them. So I feel that a little bit.
Obviously, in another of your brands, as it were, we come to a tweet from Wayne Larrivee, who is the play-by-play announcer for the Green Bay Packers. I'll tee up the first bit of his tweet, and then I'll see if you can go from where I leave off.
Okay.
If you believe you're on the cusp of a Super Bowl run and you're the Packers, there is no way you go into next season without blank on your roster. Now, knowing the Green Bay Packers, who do you think that blank is?
Oh my gosh. Knowing the Packers, I may just completely blow this. The obvious answer would be Aaron Rodgers, but I think he's already signed. Are we talking about Aaron Jones?
No, we're talking about Mason Crosby.
Oh my God!
Yes. Yes, the play-by-play
announcer of the Green Bay Packers.
Wait a second. Mason Crosby isn't even good. He's not good. He hasn't been good for years. Not to get political, but it was like he was good in the first Obama administration. That was it. Are you kidding? Did he sign a contract? I don't even know these things.
Was it 4 years, Neil?
He re-upped for 4 more years.
4 more years. Yeah.
Glorious ineptitude.
He's going to be 69 by the time that contract is over.
Yeah, congratulations, 4 more years of bang average. But don't worry, the play-by-play announcer believes that will take them from 13-3 to 14-2 in the Super Bowl.
I am. That is. Oh my God! They could definitely do a lot better than Mason Crosby if they cut him today and they had tryouts for in the off season. They could probably come up with someone who could produce exactly like Mason Crosby for a fraction of the cost. This is one of the worst takes in recent history.
I say you do not want to be going on a Super Bowl run without Mason Crosby on the sideline.
How can you win a Super Bowl without one of the most average kickers to ever play the game?
It's great. It's great, and I think I always loved the concept of the play-by-play announcer. It exists in the UK as well, in the local radio broadcaster. That I am so in on my team that I will say anything that they do is amazing because they pay me.
That's right, and I hate this. I hate this trend because it didn't used to always be this way in the U.S. where a play-by-play guys, if we're going to be honest, they've been guys for most of the history of football. Have used to be independent voices, working for completely separate and sometimes hostile, media outlets that would, straight up say, this team is bad. Like, this team needs to improve. That was a bad call by our team, by the team I do. There was no identification between the announcer and the team, and I much prefer it that way rather than the play-by-play person acting as basically a propagandist for the team. Which I just think is a bad model and kind of, I don't know. It dumbs down the coverage.
Well, it's like
you can't just say Troy Aikman, Denny. Just say Troy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think in the there was a great one this year in Washington. I think it's Larry Michael. He does ESPN 980 in Washington, mm-hmm. And he was kind of saying that they had a chance to beat New England. And you're like, no, they haven't. This is the second or worst team in the NFL, and the Patriots are not that. So just say that. It's fine. Dan Snyder's not going to fire you. He's not paying attention. He hasn't paid attention for 20 years. Don't worry about it. Say whatever you want. Turn up with your T-shirt off. It doesn't make any difference. No one's watching.
Right. Yeah. So Larry Michael would probably be a really good, minister for Kim Jong-un as far as managing propaganda, because that guy is the mouthpiece for Dan Snyder and his horrible franchise, and has been for a while. It's almost impossible to listen to his call of the game because it's like listening to a tipsy fan on his couch screaming at the TV, and you don't really get a sense of what's going on except for this guy's really mad that his team is terrible.
Let's move on before I can't talk about Washington anymore. To a great story from Indiana, and people say this all the time. Obviously, crime pays is a statement. However, stupidity gets you arrested. An Indiana man with crime pays tattoo etched across his forehead is headed back to jail after leading officers on a pursuit. Donald Murray was arrested Monday after leading officers on a short chase. He faces charges of resisting law enforcement, reckless driving, possession of methamphetamines. Now that's the shocker for me. I'm stunned that he takes meth. Maintaining a common nuisance and auto theft. This isn't Murray's first run-in with the law. Late last year, he featured on an episode of A&E's, I think that's American TV channel, Live PD, for leading officers on a high-speed pursuit. He crashed into a tree and escaped on foot before eventually being captured.
So the question is, does crime really pay for this young man? I don't know. The question. We're still waiting for an answer on that.
I don't need to be the greatest gumshoe in the world to think a guy who's got crime pays as a tattoo on his forehead may be a criminal.
I think it's somewhat of a giveaway, and I would think that if he was serious about advancing his career in crime doing, then he would get that lasered off or whatever, however you remove a tattoo.
To be fair, though, the good people, the good criminal masterminds of Gotham used to go around dressed as a clown, a penguin, in a green lycra suit, and they seemed quite, the police knew who they were, but just kept letting them go. This fella's obviously decided, I don't look good in lycra, I'm scared of clowns, I'll just tattoo this on my forehead.
That's I actually love that point, Neil. Wow. That's true. I still love the fact that in Robin puts on the little mask, and suddenly no one knows who he is. I mean, if any one of us puts on a little mask, you just go, "Hey, Neil, why do you have a stupid mask on?" What's with that?
See, obviously, the Batman has the cowl, the deep voice, but Robin literally has just done this.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Batman changes his voice. He has a significant mask on. I still would think that someone could recognize the bottom of his face, but that's sort of understandable. The Robin thing is just tremendous. I actually went to Halloween as Robin this past year. I thought it was the lowest T costume that I could come up with. So my wife was Batwoman and I was Robin.
I was yeah, amazing. I still, the elephant in the room is that the Superman takes up glasses and becomes a completely different person and saves a woman he works with on a daily /hourly basis, and she hasn't got a flipping clue.
I mean, something's wrong with her, right? They're lovers, right?
Exactly, and she doesn't know. She falls in love with both of the people and thinks they are two separate people, and all he does is take his glasses on and off.
You are missing the slick back hair.
Of course.
Yeah. And because the other day I had my hair slicked back after a shower, and my wife said, "Oh my God, who is that? Who are you? How did you get in here?" I said, "No, it's me. It's me. Please don't call the cops."
I've just got wet hair right now. That's all. Don't worry. We are aware that your daughter was fully on board in the world of Peppa Pig last time we spoke. Our question is, does she still enjoy this Peppa Pig? I was going to say a lot of inflammatory statements about Peppa Pig. I'm going to walk away from that. Or has she branched out into even more annoying British kids TV shows like Bob the Builder or Fireman Sam?
She is familiar with Bob the Builder. She actually doesn't really watch Peppa anymore. I think she's protesting Brexit. It's hard to say exactly what she's doing, but she plays with the toys. She doesn't use the accent anymore, which honestly was the cutest thing ever. I mean, I miss her doing that. I actually asked her to do the accent the other day, and she basically said no. So that's unfortunate for us.
See, my two daughters, they play with whatever little toys they have. There's some TV show called Miraculous, which is a bag of crap, but there's little action figures with it. And when they are talking to each other, they're putting on some very strange American accent.
Oh.
And it's like but it's quite a whiny California one. It's like that. It was like, what have you been watching that you've heard this accent? And please don't watch it anymore.
Have you ever seen the SNL sketch called The Californians?
I have not.
Okay, well, if you get a chance, just watch one little, one part of a sketch, and that might be the voice that they're doing, because the voice that you just did, and you're saying that it's because it's they do this really exaggerated California accent throughout the sketch, like insanely, stupidly exaggerated. The Californians, which is how I think of Californians. But as an East Coaster, but that's funny. I would love to hear that.
I shall try and my kids don't listen to me, so I try and listen to them occasionally. I'll try and see if I can get a recording of it.
That'd be good.
Final weird word story. Just the headline says it all. New Hampshire police chief strips off uniform after getting canned, walks home nearly naked. A New Hampshire police officer, police chief, may have taken the news of he was being stripped of his duties a little too literally. Richard Lee, who served as a top and sole cop, so I don't know if that means he's any good. Like, I am number one, you're also last. But anyway, in the small town of Croydon, not where Roy Hodgson's from, but the one in America, for 20 years, removed his entire uniform and walked out in a snowstorm nearly naked after the town's 3-member select board voted to abolish the department Tuesday night. Policing in Croydon, home to just over 700 residents, will now be completely handled by the New Hampshire State Police, the board voted. Lee was ordered to immediately turn in the key to his cruiser, his guns and his uniform, so he walked into an office he shared with the town's officials and stripped down right there and then in front of the board chairman, Russell Edwards. I gave them my uniform shirt, I gave them my turtleneck, I gave them my ballistic vest, he said. I sat down in a chair, took off my boots, took off my pants, put those on a chair, I put my boots back on and I walked out the door. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a police officer that we all should be proud of.
At least he wasn't mad. That's the key. The key there. Wow.
I just love it in someone who understands a little bit of American politics, that this guy's like, damn you, Washington, getting the states involved when this shouldn't be anything. This should be local jurisdiction, and you're just getting the big wigs to sort us out. Just amazing.
I think there's probably a very good chance that this fellow voted for Trump.
In New Hampshire, maybe, yeah. I mean, New Hampshire is very weird politically. It's hard. It's in New England. It's like a very independent-minded kind of state. So it's possible, but local activists or whatever could accuse that board. What was it? A town.
700
people,
and a board of 3 people who were in charge of the city,
right? Of abolishing the police. I mean, this is a left-wing fever dream in this little town. What's going on?
When we were talking before about things that you would have liked to, what I would have liked you to comment on Twitter, I was hoping that you would have gone straight for Iowa caucus. We can't count. Also, our apps to vote for people don't work. So we're kind of just going to guess who we think who should win our state's nomination for the most important position in the whole country.
Yeah, that was so telegraphed. By the way, there was like a week of coverage about, kind of simmering coverage about, like, there's this app, no one really knows who designed it, and the people on the ground in Iowa are not sure how to use it, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Officials and organizers say it'll be okay. By game time, we'll be good. But this coverage was only a week out. It's not like it was 6 months before the caucuses, and so I was reading that and I was just kind of thinking in the back of my mind, like, well, this could be bad, and of course it unfolded worse than you could have ever imagined. Yes, I do wish, you're right. On Iowa caucus night, I was basically just convulsing on the floor, needing to be on Twitter.
The thing I can just imagine, there's a man in the Kremlin in Moscow smoking a cigar, thinking, I didn't even have to do anything this time. I'm just sitting here and look at them. Look at these idiots.
Less is more, the Kremlin people say. We'll just drink our vodka. I'm sorry, I'm playing on Russian stereotypes. It's not right.
But stereotypes do exist for a reason. We have discussed this in the past. Yes. We don't just make these things up. No. They become cliche for a reason.
True.
Last question for you, Denny. We are aware that it's not just you're not just being off Twitter just for a lark. You are actually embarking on a project that seems to be, from what you've said on the podcast, seems to be researching ants and Nazis. But how actually does go the project that you are actually working on?
Yeah, it's going well. So as I mentioned on the podcast, I have it'll be 2 parts to this book. One is dystopian severely, and then the other is utopian, although with some caveats. It's very hard to write utopian stuff. I'm realizing, and here's the thing, I've been weaving this conspiracy theory throughout the story. Kind of subtly at first, and then a little more in your face in the part I'm writing now, a little more explicit, I should say, in the part I'm writing now. And then I go online to do some just dumb research. I mean, just ridiculous Google searches. And I realize, this was on Monday, I realized that this conspiracy that I'm weaving already exists. I thought I made it up, but it's out there, and it's been out there for years and years, and now I don't know what to do.
See, I thought you were going to say, you've been doing the research, all of a sudden you fall down, a rabbit hole. I mean, I was desperately looking for something for my children to watch the other day, so I don't put on their cartoons because they might enjoy that. So I just put on YouTube, but eventually I spent 2.5 hours watching cute dog videos, and the girls weren't even in the room for the last hour and a half of it. It was me going. It was me R-ing Dalmatian puppies and various corgis.
Well, that's big. That's big of you to admit here with us today, and I appreciate your honesty. I have gone. Yeah, I mean, I've gone down those rabbit holes. As I said on the podcast, I was doing a lot of research about Nazis and aliens, and apparently there's a lot there, and there's a lot there on YouTube. I can tell you that much.
I think if that doesn't lead you to want to buy both books, I don't know what will. On that note, we're gonna close this down for today. It's been half an hour of absolute privilege to speak to Denny. We will be back soon, probably talking NFL, unfortunately, and probably talking draft. It will nowhere near be as fun as this. Thank you very much, Denny. We enjoyed your time. Neil, we're out. These top guys are out, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.